To be honest with you, like I just loved every sport. It could be anything. Played loads of golf, played loads of football growing up, but yeah, I mean, I've always loved hockey. Yeah, so it always had a special place. Hockey, I suppose it took like a bit of a natural progression where it kind of became obvious that it was the sport I was best at, and then you sort of progress through your county, your regional stuff. I mean, for sure, it's been a journey with plenty of ups and downs. Some moments where you don't get selected, but I mean, it's one of those, as difficult as it is. I look back now, and they were often like the things that almost push you to go to the next level. Yeah, got into the GB program pretty young. After I finished school, came straight into training full time. So that was, I suppose, a little bit of a different career path than going to university. But yeah, I mean, it's been an exciting journey. Also playing hockey abroad is a completely different experience, new culture, different way of thinking, and yeah, it's probably all I try and take little bits from everywhere I go, or every coach I have, and see and try and add that to my game. So yeah, all sort of culminated here. I think particularly when I first came into the program, the way I was yeah, when I was a bit younger, say a little bit more rash, you just almost go for things a little bit more. You don't see sort of any of you almost don't really understand what you're doing on the pitch, but you're just there, you're playing hockey, you're having fun, and you're just like, okay, I'm just going to go for it every time. I'm going to get the ball and try and skill up anyone. And particularly when I joined it, the older sort of heads in the team, like I remember at the time, like Dixon, Adam Dixon, David Ames, Barry Middleton, Ashley Jackson, especially when I joined, like were really encouraging to me of like they could, I suppose, see some sort of like ability or talent. And even though when you're young and things like, you know, they're not quite coming off, and then the coaches are probably a little bit like, oh, you should be a little bit more reserved, like don't really take things on as much. They were always supporting me to do it. Say like they were always like, go for it, take these things on, and they really sort of backed me to do that. And I think in the end it's worked pretty well, because yeah, in the end you learn from experience, you learn from all the mistakes you made, and yeah, I see things probably in a little bit of a different light now, but I'm very grateful for sort of being given the platform to do that. It was never sort of an ambition to be, yeah, a captain or something like in an official capacity, but I mean, firstly, I think it's the proudest moment of my hockey career. Yeah, I'd done it before, like, but never in sort of like an official capacity. So to have that, it's really, really special. Being able to see things from maybe a lot of different perspectives, understand sort of everyone's different situations, and being a little bit switched onto that can maybe help. But to be honest, I don't really see it as a massive weight or a massive expectation to do something different. You know, like I think it's important that, yeah, the way I am, or the reason for sort of stepping into the captaincy role, I think it's because of everything that's been done before, you know, and how I was and what I brought to the team anyway. So for me to suddenly, like, if you have a title, I suppose, to the role, for me it doesn't really change anything about how I should be off the pitch, how I should be on the pitch, how I should act, how I should live my life. So I mean, for sure there's maybe like certain amount of different responsibilities, you've got a few more things on your shoulders, but I don't see it as like a real weight. And perhaps it maybe was like a natural step, with like sort of being in the squad for a long time, having experience of all different types of situations, or like say experience abroad, experience of major tournaments. So perhaps it was sort of a natural step. And I think to have the support of like the staff and the playing group is, yeah, it means the most. And it's not something that I would want to do just for the sake of doing it, but yeah, if you have the team behind you, it makes a really big difference. Off the pitch and on the pitch, I'm certainly a different character. I think off the pitch I'm very chilled out, pretty relaxed. On the pitch I definitely have like a different side, or a different energy to me, which I think can benefit, yeah, in both ways. I say, like, in terms of leadership, it's more of like a lead by example kind of way in how I act on the pitch and these things, rather than like a big talker behind the scenes. But yeah, I suppose it all sort of adds to it in different ways. If you have a captaincy role, you have to, I mean, the way I see it is you have to lead by example. And for example, for for me to say or expect like certain behavior or like to set certain standards, then you have to be the person that's underpinning that and doing it yourself. So I suppose there's certain responsibilities in that sense, but yeah, at the same time, like I alluded to before, like I'm not trying to be a completely different person to how I am. I'm not trying to be step into a different personality or a different role. I'm just trying to like be myself, how I was before, and continue to do that. I think I've got to have perhaps like a certain amount of responsibility whereby like my own performance can't impact how I'm feeling about everything. You know, if I have like everyone has good games and bad games, and I think a big part of the role is if you have maybe not your best game, that then you're not in a bad mood with everyone, and you're being a difficult person to be around, etc. I think it's almost trying to separate the two slightly. And okay, there's myself as a player and wanting to be the best player I can be for the team. There's also then in a leadership capacity, and how you're playing kind of has to be a little bit irrelevant to that, and you still got to be there for the team. And okay, what's pushing us in the right direction towards where we want to be. I think every player maybe has an ambition to be the best player that they can be. Yeah, I mean the nominations, it's a nice bit of recognition, but again, it doesn't make me want to play a different way, or like the belief in myself is there whether there's a nomination or there's no nomination. So by getting nominated doesn't mean I think suddenly I'm a different player. Suddenly I can do X, Y, and Z that I couldn't do before. And like, no, I'm still the same person, the same player, and I still have that sort of belief in that, whether there's these things come around or not. I think maybe it's a little bit British in the way that I think we don't like to be that out there. Also, just I think the way I was brought up, not to be like super all about yourself or something like that, but just to be like quite grounded, quite hardworking, and then sort of like the results always come from that, you know, like just working hard, putting your head down. So yeah, I've never really been about making it too individual. But legacy. I don't know. It's not something I really think about a lot. Like I'm not training with the point of like I want to be remembered for this or remembered for that. But what I can say is I want to be part of the most successful England and Great Britain team that there is. And I suppose like all these sort of things, you look back to the 1988 team who won gold. Like I suppose they didn't do it for legacy, but they're remembered because they did really well. For us, like as a group, we have so much ability. I think we're all really aware of it, and we know how close we are to like stepping over that final line and doing what we want to, achieving what we want to achieve. So I think all those things, they really take care of themselves. It's not something that's like consciously playing on my mind, but yeah, for sure I want to be remembered as the group as being part of the most successful side ever. So that's a big driver for us.